TV and movies can be a very weird medium, allowing you to experience heart-stopping horror, adrenaline-pumping action, and history you'd otherwise have to, read about, all while you're sitting on your couch. Video games, on the other hand, are even weirder, being that instead of the media being shown to you, you get to control it. With this knowledge leading to people that make TV shows and movies to pump out branded tie-in video games, to not only get the average moviegoer excited, but to get the people that play video games too. Hey everybody, welcome to Bed Talk, the talk show where we talk on my bed. And today, we're talking about the good side of branded tie-in video games. So, now the question everybody asks when you tell them about a video game. What makes it good? Is it the graphics, the gameplay, the music, the voice acting? What? None of it. At least, not in my opinion. My opinion is that a game is good if you have a good time playing it. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. October 27, 2005 marked the GameCube and Game Boy Advance release date for the action-adventure video game Nicktoons Unite, with the game coming out on October 26, 2005 for the PlayStation 2 and January 10, 2006 for the Nintendo DS. Nicktoons Unite gameplay consisted of people playing as one of four Nickelodeon characters: Spongebob Squarepants, Danny Phantom, Jimmy Neutron, and Timmy Turner, with all four having unique abilities needed to progress throughout the game. Spongebob has the ability to use bubble bombs to destroy objects blocking your path. Danny Phantom can use his ghostly whale to destroy glass. Timmy Turner has the ability to freeze objects with his freeze glove, and Jimmy Neutron has a gun. These four characters are brought together by Jimmy Neutron after he pulls them from their own universes because the main bad guys of their worlds have completely taken over. Because Professor Calamitous from Jimmy Neutron's world has gotten a copy of Jimmy Neutron's universe portal machine and is using it to cause evil by gathering Vlad, Plankton, and Denzel Crocker and forming the Syndicate, with plans to gather energy from around the multiverses to power a doomsday machine. The Nick Boys, which isn't a comment on how they have a severe jewel addiction or anything, it's just what I'm going to call them, arrive at Vlad's new castle and find he's siphoning energy from the Ghost Zone to further the Syndicate's evil plans. After escaping Vlad's castle, they go to Fenton Works, and after a conversation with Sam and Tucker, they decide to cut through Amity Park Graveyard, discovering generators that are keeping a portal open, and they destroy it. And finally, confronting Vlad, Danny possesses his father and mosses him with his ghost gauntlets before moving on to the next area, Bikini Bottom. In Bikini Bottom, Sandy tells the Nick Boys that Plankton is using a harvester to capture jellyfish and extract the power from their sting. After destroying the harvesters, the Nick Boys somehow find themselves on the Flying Dutchman's ship, and he wants them, not SpongeBob, but whatever, to join his crew, and Danny, using his ghost mode because, he's a phantom, persuades the Flying Dutchman to let them go, and upon arriving at the Chum Bucket, they rescue Patrick, Mr. Krabs, and the jellyfish. And after defeating Plankton, they learn that Mr. Crocker is still supplying power to the Doomsday device. In Dimsdale, home of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, the Nick Boys find themselves in Crocker's Golden Fortress and come across a rainbow of fairy magic. And after cutting off the fortress from the magic, they enter Fairy World. And Jorgen von Strangle explains that Mr. Crocker is using the big wand to supply power to the Doomsday Machine. You get it by now. They turn it up to 11, embarrass the villain, shut down the power supply, and learn something new about the Syndicate before dipping to a different realm. Back in Jimmy's lab, they discover that Goddard has a flea bot that Dr. Calamitous is using to spy on them. So, what do? They shrink themselves down, fight the bot, and then use the bot to track and find Dr. Calamitous, use it to find Dr. Calamitous' secret lair. They then show up to the Syndicate saying how they'll be destroying Retroville as a showing of their Doomsday device. The Nick Boys attack, but seemingly do no damage to the machine. And just before the countdown can be finished, SpongeBob unplugs it. And the Syndicate's master plan is foiled because Dr. Calamitous didn't install backup power to their Doomsday device. And that's the ball game. It's a weird, disjointed story that, if you think about it, even a little bit, it doesn't really make any sense. But the gameplay is fun, and the memories I have playing this game with my brother are something I'll always cherish. So this game was something that I'll always love. Because as a kid growing up in the early 2000s, I watched all four of these cartoons religiously when they were on. So being able to play as these characters in what felt like a crossover movie event that I could have watched on TV, but instead I'm playing it, it's a feeling I've only ever gotten from a handful of these tie-in games. Especially because they got the original voice actors for these characters. The only thing that brings this down, along with, a lot of these other great tie-in games, is that you can only play it on older consoles that are very hard to come by. The only reason that I have my GameCube is because my grandma bought one years ago when they first came out and kept it. So, shout out my grandma, dog. September 12th, 2005 marked the release date for Scooby Unmasked for the GameCube, with it coming out for the original Xbox on the same day and October 18th for the Nintendo DS. Gameplay consisted of playing as Scooby-Doo and going through different levels, gathering collectibles such as Scooby snacks, clues for the mysteries that you're trying to solve, and ingredients for Shaggy to upgrade your health. Along with this, you get to change costumes in select areas that give you different abilities like Kung Fu, gliding like a bat, and the option to cosplay as Robin Hood. The gang is on their way to visit Fred's cousin, Jed, at his special effects studio Monsters, Fright, and Magic, or MFM, which is what I'll be calling it from now on. However, when they get there, Jed is gone, and the animatronics have gone haywire. They find MFM CEO Winslow Stanton and his assistant Marcy, who inform them that Jed has turned to the dark side and become a Sith Lord. A Jedi, if you will. Eh? Right? Okay. Can I get some props for that one? Sorry, let's get back to it. Anyways, Jed turned evil and sabotaged MFM and stole not only the animatronics, but a special compound used to make lifelike monsters called Mubber. And, the gang being a group of college kids with nothing better to do, set off to find Jed and recover the Mubber. Their first stop is Chinatown, where they're told by Maggie Chi that Zen Tuo, a demonic sorcerer, has started disrupting the local festival she was organizing. So, Scooby-Doo runs around Chinatown collecting clues and searching alleyways, a sewer, dojos, a fortune cookie factory, and after saving Shaggy and Daphne, faces off against a dragon. Okay, so it's not a real dragon, it's an animatronic made with Mubber. And when you finally defeat the dragon, you discover that Zen Tuo is actually Maggie in disguise. And then get this, she melts, bro. Because she's a Mubber-made animatronic. And from the darkness, a voice appears. And although Fred doesn't want to believe the voice is Jed, he does recognize it. Next stop is the Rock and Roller Coaster Land amusement park, where, surprise, surprise, there's a masked ghoul running around causing mayhem. You find out from Alvin Wiener that this masked ghoul went around and scared off all the other guests. Now, Scooby-Doo has to run around and collect clues to discover the secret of the guitar ghoul. And after saving Shaggy, again, they come across Nikki Starlight, who claims to be the guitar ghoul's girlfriend. The gang then finds the guitar ghoul's house and trashes it, only to find out, guess what? The guitar ghoul is Alvin. Who would have guessed? And Nikki tells the gang to head to the private natural history museum that MFM has worked on previously. They show up and find a caveman that haunts the museum, and when Shaggy goes off to get food, he gets kidnapped. Again, by a pterodactyl, and needs to be saved. Again. So he gets saved. Again. They defeat the caveman, and the museum's head of security, Joseph Grimm, is revealed to be the caveman as part of a scheme to sell petroleum deposits underneath the museum. And with a contract that you find earlier in the level, Velma deduces that Winslow Stanton is responsible and may have framed Jed. You then make your way back to MFM to confront Winslow Stanton, finding Jed stuffed into a costume on some FNAF-type beat, and before you fight Stanton, he walks under a UV light and melts away to discover that Winslow Stanton is actually Marcy, his assistant, just covered in Mubber, who wanted revenge on the real Winslow because he took all the credit for Mubber. And then, the real Stanton appears behind the crew, and then you guys are like, yeah, let's fight. And then just before you can fight, Winslow's like, wait, hold on, one sec. And then they like reconcile, him and Stanton and Marcy, and then they make up, and then Winslow is like, hey, you know what, you're right, you deserve to be a full partner to the company, I was being really weird. And there it is, another retro tie-in video game that stands the test of time. The controls are a little clunky sometimes, and the sound effects can peak every now and then, leading to something so loud I never want to hear sounds again. But despite that, it's a great game. The graphics hold up, the story's a little confusing, but that's good, because it always keeps you guessing, and that's the whole point of Scooby-Doo, so good job. October 31st, 2003 marked the release date for Spongebob Battle for Bikini Bottom for all consoles. Gameplay consisted of running around Bikini Bottom's famous locations, collecting items, fighting robots, and platforming. You can play as either Spongebob SquarePants, Patrick Star, or Sandy Cheeks. One night, as Spongebob and Patrick are playing horses and robots, they make a wish on their magic wishing shell that the robots were real. Coincidentally, across town, Plankton is working on his own robot army, and when he flips the Duplicatortron 3000 on, he begins his conquest of the greater Bikini Bottom area. Or he would have if he didn't accidentally leave the machine's programming on Don't Obey. So, the next morning, SpongeBob wakes up and finds out from a news program that robots have taken over the city and are currently running amok. And SpongeBob, being the main character of the show and the game, sets out on a mission to save the city. This game is kind of set up like Mario 64, where you have a huge hub world that branches off into different levels in the game. So, in the first hub, you have the option to go to Jellyfish Fields, downtown Bikini Bottom, and Goo Lagoon, with the side areas of SpongeBob's house, Squidward's house, and Patrick's house.
The rolling green hills of Jellyfish Fields.
When you first enter the area, you see Squidward getting chased and stung by jellyfish, and after a quick conversation with Squidward, SpongeBob brings up the fact that he needs to get him some King Jellyfish jelly to rub in his wounds. Side note, every area in this game is open and allows for exploration, leading to different side activities and collectibles, but the areas aren't free of danger, with robots, jellyfish, and other environmental hazards blocking your path. Also, since every area is open and there's so many different things to do and activities and all that, I'm not going to be going over everything that happens in a level, just because this video would be very, very, very long. I'm just going to give a short little blurb of what happens at the beginning, what happens at the end, and anything in the middle that's special, I feel, needs to be talked about, I will. As you make your way through Jellyfish Fields, you come across Patrick and swap characters for the first time, introducing the ability to pick up watermelons and other items. At the end of the area, Spongebob faces off against King Jellyfish, gets some King Jellyfish jelly, and then slides all the way back to Squidward to give him the jelly. I said jelly a lot in that sentence.
Downtown Bikini Bottom.
When entering the area, Mrs. Puff tells you they're trying to evacuate the city, but the robots have stolen every single steering wheel from the car, starting your mini mission for this area. Also in this area, you're introduced to Sandy as a playable character. Her special ability is her lasso, which can be used to rope robots, allowing you to defeat them without having to get close, and the ability to glide with it. Making your way through the area, you go through the streets and over the rooftops, collecting the steering wheels to bring them back to Mrs. Puff.
Goo Lagoon.
Larry informs you that a big robot has stolen all the sunscreen, so the people at Goo Lagoon are frying. Get it? Because they're fish. So it's up to you to get it all back. In this level, you meet no new playable characters, but you do see Larry the Lobster, Mrs. Puff, again, Bubble Buddy, and Mr. Krabs. With Mr. Krabs asking you to clear out the boardwalk because no one wants to go to the boardwalk because there are robots on it, and since there's no one going to the boardwalk, he's not making any money. Get it? After making your way through the boardwalk, you destroy the robot that has been holding the sunscreen hostage and finish the level. Now that you've finished all the levels in the first hub, you can finally move on to the next hub. But before you do, you have to fight a mighty foe for breaching the Poseidome, a gigantic sandy robot. In the first phase, you use your butt slam as SpongeBob to pop his head off. In the second phase, you play as Patrick and use his body slam to pop the robot's head off, and then throw it into the wrecked Poseidome skybox. In the third phase, you play as SpongeBob, again, using your butt slam to knock the robot's head off, but this time the robot grabs it, and you need to use SpongeBob's head slam ability to do damage. The next hub area contains Rock Bottom, Sand Mountain, and the Mermalair, with side areas Sandy's Tree Dome, the police station, and Shady Shoals retirement home.
Welcome to the dark depths of Rock Bottom.
Mrs. Puff is here to give you the quest again. The robots have stolen precious artwork and she needs you to get them back, with the ultimate goal of making your way to Rock Bottom Museum. However, when you do get to Rock Bottom Museum, you're told by Barnacle Boy in order to get the golden spatula at the end, you'll have to turn off the security system. And you make your way back to Mrs. Puff in order to finish the level. Squidward is here and gives you the task of clearing out every ski slope so he can get some relaxation. And what that entitles is going to every ski slope on the level and either going straight down the hill or trying to beat someone's time by doing a time trial. There's a time trial on every single hill, and they get progressively harder with less time every slope. And at the end of every hill is a little battle arena section that requires you to destroy robot duplicators to progress and finish the level. Evil robots have taken over the Mermalair, and Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy are asking you to shut down the security system so they can make their way through the Mermalair safely. And the level ends with you fighting the prawn in a boss battle. With the 3 main levels completed in the hub area, it's time to move on the last level hub. But before you do, here comes another boss fight with Robot Patrick this time. In the first phase, you have to wait for Robot Patrick to do a spin move, get dizzy, and fall over, and then you have to bubble bowl into his back with SpongeBob. Phase 2 is a repeat of Phase 1, except you have to use Sandy's lasso to drop boxes on the ground in order to cross the arena after Robot Patrick releases harmful green goo from the ceiling. Phase 3 is just Phase 1, but with goo everywhere. The last hub area contains the Kelp Forest, Flying Dutchman's Graveyard, and SpongeBob's Dream, with the side areas the Krusty Krab, the Chum Bucket, and the movie theater.
Here we are in the Kelp Forest.
In this area, Mrs. Puff gives you the task of finding all the campers lost in the Kelp Forest, before meeting Barnacle Boy in the Kelp Forest caverns to help him grab cave crystals. When you leave, it's another slope time trial given to you by Mermaid Man, and that leads to the exit of the level.
The Graveyard of Ships.
Robots have thrown the Flying Dutchman off his own ship, and it's up to the crew for some reason to get them off and the Dutchman back on. This all culminates in a big enemy arena set piece on the Flying Dutchman's ship, which is pretty fun. However, the Dutchman goes back on his deal and doesn't give us our golden spatula for the work we did, leading to a boss fight between us and him. After we beat him, we get our golden spatula and complete the level. This level begins when SpongeBob takes a nap in the middle of town and wakes up in his dreams. That was a weird phrase. And you're tasked with going through your friends' dreams to collect golden spatulas, with a multitude of different level designs like sliding, a jump quest, and a battle arena, a good balance and endurance run of everything you've learned and played through all game. The game ends here, with one final boss fight, a robot SpongeBob, and this is by far the most complex boss fight of the game. The first phase consists of SpongeBob running around in a circle while Robot SpongeBob swings at him, and you need to use your ground pound to hit the switches on his hands, and his Bubble Cruise missile to hit the other switches on his body. The next phase of the fight, you travel inside Robot Spongebob to destroy his power sources, all while going through a bunch of little battle arenas and being chased by a tiny robot Plankton. After you defeat the robot and the ending cutscene plays, Robot Plankton goes on a rant about he's still going to take over the world and yada yada yada. More Robot Plankton spawn and they start beefing with each other. And the gang leaves, but not before SpongeBob gives a speech about how their work isn't done. Fade to Bubbles. This game is legitimately my favorite video game of all time. It's always been on the top of my list. You know, the gameplay, the sound design, the controls, the story. It legitimately feels like I'm playing an episode of SpongeBob, and I love that because SpongeBob is still my favorite TV show today. I've had it on in the background while I was editing the last 2 sections of this video, and it'll be on in the background while I'm editing this. The 2 gripes I have with this game, and one of them isn't even that big of a deal, but the first one is the fact that Mr. Krabs and Mermaid Man aren't voiced by their original voice actors, which is fine, because maybe they didn't want to be in the game or scheduling conflicts or whatever. And the second is the Marble Room. This is one of the worst things in the history of gaming, ever. It is up there on my all-time hate list, along with the part in Last of Us where like Joel is like upside down and he's got to like shoot all the not the walkers. What is that from? What is that? That's Walking Dead. He's got to shoot like the clickers and stuff like that are coming inside. The Sandbird in Super Mario Sunshine, and every single Warzone match I have ever played, even the ones I've won. So this is the end of the video. And before you say anything, I would love to talk about every tie-in game I've ever played and how good or bad they are, but this video would be a million years long. So maybe I'll make this a series. I don't know. But in the meantime, thank you for coming out and watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!